What's going on, guys? Nathan 400DX back, and we're taking a look at the Daisy Powerline 426. Now, this happens to be one of my more favorite in the Daisy Powerline series, and more importantly, one of the more favorite BB guns that I happen to own. Now, this is CO2, and I love my spring guns, really because they're reliable. Obviously, they don't produce nearly as much power as these, but I like them for the reliability. And I always told myself I would never get a CO2 gun. But I happened to see this, and I think, if I remember correctly, I only happened to pay $35 for it, roughly, at Walmart. And it was one of the cheapest on there, and I'm like, alright, well, I mean, it might be cheap, but let's just try it. I'll just buy this for my first CO2 gun, and we'll just see how it works. And I'm really surprised, because it happens to work really well, actually. Online, they say that it happens to produce 430 FPS maximum, but it shoots so fast. I mean, I want to say it shoots way faster than that. I could be wrong, but it seems like it shoots much more faster than 430 FPS. Taking a little bit closer up look at the gun, you'll notice that just looking at it, it looks a lot more well-built than the Daisy Powerline 201, which I happen to have two of. One thing I don't like, and this is just a design perspective, all the screw holes. A lot of BB guns and airsoft guns have those, which I don't really like. I think it kind of makes that one side of the gun look a little bit ugly. But I mean, that's a minor detail. That's minor. That's nothing major to worry about. So yeah, like I said, it's CO2. And I'll show you where the CO2 goes. A lot of them actually just kind of pop off and slide into the bottom right here. But this one, let me get a good grip on it. Yeah, it doesn't come off too hard, but you want to get a good grip on it. The CO2 goes right in here, and it just sets right into place. And then once you get it set into place, you're going to want to screw this in really fast, because if you don't, you risk leaking out CO2, which inevitably is going to end up being a waste of a cartridge. You're not going to get as much power out of it, and you're not going to be able to shoot as many BBs down range as you would be as if you tightened it as fast as you could and it was a full cartridge. So the handle goes back on like that. Just make sure you tighten that in there really snug. And one thing I do want to mention before I keep going, never leave CO2 in your gun, because you risk breaking your seals. That is something that I've never done, but I did happen to do a little bit of research, and I found that everyone that left CO2 in any kind of BB gun that uses CO2, your seals wear out over time. All that pressure on there. And as long as you have seals, the pressure is not going to go anywhere. But the pressure is just holding on those seals for so long that you risk really losing your seals, breaking them. They get destroyed. And then either you go out and buy a new gun, or you take it in to have it rebuilt, which is probably going to cost you just as much as it would to buy a new gun. Because like I said, $35 will probably cost you just that much. So don't ever leave CO2 in your gun. Now on to where the BBs go. I showed you where the CO2 goes in. So where do the BBs go? Well, there's only one spot left for them to go, and that is directly into the barrel. Now if you'll notice right here, there's a little clip on the end of the spring, and you can see right here, it just slides up and slides over. Now this is not, a really strong spring. You don't have to be really rugged to move that. It's a pretty light spring. It's easy. It holds 16 BBs, and with that many, and the CO2 that I used Crossman CO2. And they were just the regular size cartridges. I can't remember how many come in a pack. I think 5 or 6. And on one CO2, I think the most I shot, I was able to shoot almost 30 clips out of one CO2, which I know is going to sound unbelievable to most people out there, and I was surprised myself. But I do want to say, though, after the first 10, 15 clips, it really starts to show how much CO2 you're losing. Because, I mean, on the first 10 clips anyway, when you shoot, you're going to see all the CO2 and smoke coming out of the end of the barrel. So after the first 10 to 15, you're losing a lot of CO2, you're not going to have as much power. If anyone's watching this video wondering if you can hunt with this, yes, this will take down squirrels and it'll take down small game as long as you have really full CO2. So don't go out plinking around and then after you shot 20 clips out of this thing, then expect to go out and shoot something. Don't do that, because you're just going to hurt it. You're just going to wound it. It's going to run away, and it's going to make you feel bad. It's just not going to be good. And if you have something like gray squirrels or anything coming out and eating your trash, yes, full CO2 will drop it. But like I said, just make sure that you haven't shot too many rounds out of it first beforehand, because it really does show once you start shooting a lot of BBs out of the end of this thing. It has a rail system on the bottom, so you can put, I don't know, a red dot, you can put a flashlight, and on the top it has a little spot right there, which, I mean, it looks like you can put something on there, but I don't, from a design perspective, it's kind of bad. Clearly, because you're not going to end up ever putting anything on there. And not to say that these open sights are bad, because take a look at that. I mean, these open sights are nice, they're good. But it gets in the way, because if you put a scope there, then how are you going to move this spring? I guess you can probably find a way around it, get something skinny, something that'll fit under there. I guess you could do that if you wanted to, but it's really, really accurate. At least this specific gun that I have, because I know, especially with a BB gun, obviously every gun's different. And they're not always going to hit the same spot every time. But this one is really accurate. I was able to stand in like 30 yards, 30, 40 yards and still be able to hit like a Twisted Tea can from that far away. So this gun happens to be really, really accurate. And it's all stock. I haven't done anything to it. I've never broken a seal. I've shot... I have 30 CO2 things out of here, I think. Probably, yeah, it's got to be about 30, because I went and bought quite a few. And so far, I've had no malfunctions, no failure, no anything. I mean, the seals are still good. They still hold the CO2 in really good. They don't leak. And it really is just an overall good gun. So if any of you guys are out there wondering what kind of BB gun to get if you're looking for CO2, I'd recommend this, the Daisy Powerline 426. They still sell them, unlike the Daisy Powerline 201, which I don't think they sell anymore. But these they do. And I would highly recommend this for a CO2 gun. I mean, it's cheap, and it's not cheaply made. Because if any of you guys out there have a Daisy Powerline 201, you know it doesn't feel the most rugged. But this feels extremely solid. I mean, if it is made of the same plastic, I mean, it's a lot more rugged. You definitely have room in the trigger, so if you have bigger hands, you definitely don't got to worry about that hindering you being able to pull the trigger or not. Because I know some have a smaller spot where you put your finger, and people with bigger hands just can't shoot them. And that's something that you don't got to worry about on this one either. So yeah, give you one last look at the gun. And them screw holes, man, those screw holes do bug the shit out of me. But yeah, Daisy Powerline 426, overall, it's a good gun. And like I say, every time I do one of these videos, one of these days, I'm going to come out and shoot some shit. And it'll just be a fun time. So yeah, that's a Daisy Powerline 426. And for now, this has been Nathan 400EX. Peace out.